Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are doing another budget deck tech. This time it's Zirda the Dawnwaker Sliver Dreams, I'm calling this one, because we're kind of doing a Sliver type sub-theme here, or Kindred, whatever you want to call it. So Zirda the Dawnwaker is 1 and Boros, so red or white and red or white. 3 casting cost for a 3/3 is not too bad. It has Companion. We don't care about Companion on this. What matters is the next part here. Abilities you activate that aren't mana abilities, cost 2 less to activate. This can't reduce the mana cost to less than 1 mana. And for 1 and tap, target creature can't block this turn. So being able to reduce the casting cost of abilities is very useful. You can focus more on abilities than worrying about cards in hand. This is really such a huge advantage, like focusing more on abilities, and I'm going to talk more about that pretty soon. But first advantage is, you're not super concerned about keeping your hand full of cards because you don't really need to use cards to do things on your turn with your mana. Alright, so being able to take a blocker out of combat can greatly change the options your opponents have. So it sounds underwhelming, taking only 1 target creature out of the combat, make it so it can't block. That can do a lot of work, really, especially in a commander game where you've got multiple opponents. There's probably at least one where taking that 1 creature out is going to really change the whole kind of battle, how it plays out. So this can be very useful. I wouldn't underestimate it. Okay, so remember that the cost reduction cannot lower it past 1 colorless. It can reduce it though to 1 mana. It has to at least cost 1 mana, but for instance we have things in this deck where it's like 2 and a white. It does not reduce it to 1 colorless and a white. It's just a white, right? As long as it still costs 1 mana, it's okay. It doesn't matter what color that mana is or anything. So yeah. And mana abilities refer only to abilities that produce mana. That's a very important distinction that comes up with one of the big cards in this deck. The deck price is $33.61. Okay, so the design objective: get the most out of Zirda's mana ability mana cost reduction. And again, this is determined using TCG player market value. The shipping cost is unfortunately high, so this is kind of more of a guideline I use. Ordering from Card Kingdom will probably be cheaper, but not this cheap, unfortunately. I only found that out after I had done like probably over 150 videos. A commenter pointed that out, and I was like, oh. Anyway, you can check the deck on moxfield.com or moxfield.com. But the link is in the description. I can't talk today. Fun. Part 1. Zirda the Dawnwaker, about the commander. Okay, so having a deck with a lot of abilities is a huge advantage, actually. It kind of touched on the whole not needing as many cards in hand as one thing. Also, abilities and countering spells and countering abilities are totally different, right? Most decks are not set up to counter many abilities, especially not like a mass amount of abilities like you're going to be able to use in this deck. So yeah, just the counter spells are going to be a major issue for other players. Also, a lot of abilities, as long as they're not tap abilities, can be used multiple times per turn. So you can just keep activating things over and over and over. Whereas a spell, it's one and done. So yeah, kind of a whole pile of advantages there with using an ability heavy deck. Okay, high synergy cards. First of all, Basalt Monolith, or Monolith. Yeah, it is a monolith, but anyway. It's a monolith that makes mana. Anyway. You can tap it to add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool, but it does not untap as normal. Usually you have to pay 3 to make it untap. You're going to pay 1. This is a mana rock, but the ability is not a mana ability. So it's an untap ability, right? So that's why you can still use it with Zirda. You still get your cost reduction because it is not, the mana is not being converted into another mana source or anything like that. It's not a mana ability, it's an untap ability. So that's where you can kind of just, basically putting 1 mana in and getting 3 mana out, which is not a bad deal, frankly. Glory. So this is 3 white for a creature. This is kind of a weird creature because you want in your graveyard. Alright, so get this into your graveyard as quickly as you can. And, well, it's a flying 3/3, so it can do some work on its own, but what you really want is the 2 and a white. Choose a color creatures you control. All of your creatures, not just a creature. No, all of your creatures gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. So you activate this, and it's going to cost you only 1 white mana. Remember, the cost reduction can't reduce it past 1 mana cost, or the mana cost to past 1. It's 2 and a white, so you can just pay the white, is what you're going to do, and reduce the 2. And it's going to just give all of your creatures protection from anything you want, any color you want. So targeted removal, you can kind of just shut it down. You can give it all of your creatures protection from whatever color the removal is, and then it just fizzles. Or you can use it to make it so you can't be blocked. So yeah, it's just a win con then. It's just has a whole bunch of functionality, and with your commander, it's going to be so cheap. Soul Bright Flamekin. So this is 1 in a red for a 2/1. This is kind of a weird one. So it usually costs 2. It is going to cost 1 still, right? The lowest you can get it is down to 1. So that's going to be 1 mana, or 1 colorless mana. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. Not bad. So you're going to give 1 creature trample by activating this. If this is the 3rd time this ability has resolved this turn, you may add 8 red mana to your mana pool. So you're going to put 3 colorless mana into this, and you're going to get 8 red mana out. And you can just keep activating this, right? You do only get the 8 mana on the 3rd activation, so you can't just keep doing it over and over and over, unfortunately. But every turn, basically, you've got a way to make, to make 8 red mana from 3 mana. 3 mana of any color, you can just turn into 8 mana. Crazy. Anyway, yeah. Usually, it's not as good a deal. It costs you 6 mana to get 8 mana. With this commander, it's 3 mana to get 8 mana. Oh boy. And 3 creatures with trample as well. Nice little bonus there. High Noon. Okay, so this is an enchantment for 1 and a white. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. You don't care about spells. You're going to be using piles of abilities, right? If you can cast 1 spell, you're probably okay for the turn. Should be alright. For everyone else, that might be a hindrance, but for you, yeah, sounds great. Also, for 4 in the red, you can sacrifice it to deal 5 damage to any target. So, some creature is a big problem. As long as it doesn't have above 5 toughness, it's gone. If you need to finish off a player, there you go. 5 damage, no problem. And Plarg, Dean of Chaos. Okay, this is a double-sided card. The other side isn't bad either, but we're focusing Plarg here. So 1 in a red for a 2/2. You can tap him to discard a card and draw a card. Sure. But what we're really in it for is the 4 red and tap. 4 in a red and tap. Remember, that's 2 in a red and tap for you. Reveal cards from the top of your library, and until you reveal a non-legendary, non-land card with mana value 3 or less, you may play that card this turn without paying its mana cost. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put all revealed cards not cast this way onto the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, so one kind of asterisk here is if High Noon is out, this is your 1 casting. This does count as casting, right? Which, yeah, is a bit of a downside, but really you're putting 3 in and you're casting something for up to 3 mana, and most of this deck has things that are like 3 mana. More cards than anything else are 3 mana in this deck, so chances are you're going to pay 3 and you're going to get something that's maybe, well, probably 3 mana out of it anyway. So yeah, good deal. Sun Forger. Okay, good old Sun Forger. It does cost 3 and it's an equipment artifact. So you can use it to give a creature +4, and its equip is 3. Remember, that's equip 1 with Zirda out. So yeah, and you can pay a red and a white to unattach it and search your library for a red or white instant card with converted mana cost 4 or less, and cast that card without paying its mana cost. Okay, then shuffle. Okay, anyway, what you're really looking for, all of our instants are 3 mana, but this is going to give you access to like whatever you need at the drop of a hat. That's really what you have it for. If you want to make everything indestructible, you can do that. If you want to have some kind of removal, you can do that. So yeah, I would always have this ready to go every turn. You should have re-equip it if you've unequipped it and have it good to go. You know, you can use it on your turn and then re-equip it again and have it ready so that like if someone's going to do something, they're going to go, oh, they've got Sunforger attached again. Probably target someone else then, right? You're gonna even, yeah, you do have counter spells as well, or a counter spell at least that you can use with this. So yeah. Part 2, the plan. So the deck objectives that we're looking at here. Objectives, number 1, always ramp, right? Number 2, flood the board. Number 3, slivers. This is Sliver deck after all. And finally, win cons. Okay, so ramp, we've got Soulbright Flamekin, we've already talked about. Wayfarer's Bauble. This is kind of doubly good in your deck because it costs 1 and then usually 2 to be able to sacrifice it and search for a basic land to put into the battlefield tapped. It only costs you 1, so really 2 colorless and you're going to go search for a land. It's pretty good. Okay, Legion Stronghold. This is the other side of, there's an Legion Loyalty is on the other side, and it doubles their attack power of a creature. So yeah, if you want to get this back to your hand is the main point I want to make here. We do have Boros Stronghold, which will allow you to bounce a land back to your hand. So if you play this early, you can still get this back and then cast it as this instant instead. So yeah, that's not really ramp, I guess, but it is kind of like a nice little trick. Seize the Spotlight. So I actually featured this before. It's 2 and a red. So once again, Sunforger, you can cast. Oh no, you can't because it's a sorcery. But Plarg can cast it though. So if you get this off a Plarg trigger, you are going to be able to use it. Each opponent chooses Fame or Fortune. For each player who chose Fame, gain control of a creature that player controls until the end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste. For each player who chose Fortune, you may draw a card and create a treasure token. Card draw and mana. 2 things every deck needs are those 2, kind of the starting blocks of every deck, and this can do both of them. So yeah. Or you get to steal their creature. Finally, Burnished Heart. So this again will cost 3. Hopefully you can get it off a Plarg trigger. So yeah, and for 3 mana you sacrifice it, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them into the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Again, this costs you 1 to activate it. So Plarg can bring it in, and then you can immediately, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to tap, so it doesn't, Summoning Sickness doesn't matter. Pay 1 more and you're going to get 2 lands. Basically 4 mana, 2 lands. 4 colorless mana for 2 lands. That is a good deal. Flood the board. Okay, Plarg we've talked about already, so yeah. Again, for 3, getting something for 3 is really nice. It's a shame he needs to tap, otherwise he could just keep doing it. Arcane Encyclopedia. Okay, so this is about having cards in hand. I know I was all about, oh, you don't need cards in hand. It's still nice to have, right? This, for 3, you can cast this artifact, and then usually for 3 and tap, you draw a card. It's 1 and tap, draw a card. So 1 mana and tap it to draw a card every turn. That's worth it. Or every round, I should say. Icon of Ancestry. So, as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+1. Choose Sliver. Yeah. And then for 3 and tap, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card of the chosen type from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of them on your library in a random order. So this is all about just getting more Slivers to your hand, right? More and more and more. So very good. Dawn of Hope. Alright, so this is a very different one. But what you can do here is, whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 if you do draw a card. Nice little trigger there. You can pay 1 to draw a card. And for 3 and a white, or 1 and a white, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. Remember, this does not tap, so you can just keep doing this over and over and over. As long as you've got mana, you can just keep doing this, and then you can attack with one of those creatures, and then when you get the lifelink trigger, you're going to pay pay 1 mana and draw a card as well off of it. So just all kinds of value. Ascend from Avernus. This is a big one in this deck. This is different than a lot of other cards, or similar cards in that, yeah, it is X white, white, white. That looks really bad to start with, but it's not. Return all creatures and planeswalker cards with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile this card. So it is a one-time, you're just kind of doing like a mass, put everything back in the battlefield. Even if you can cast this for 6, meaning 3, X3, and the 3 white, you're going to get your value out of it, because most of our creatures and everything are going to be value 3 or less, right? Unless it's something really specific you want to get back, you can probably get a whole, like, nice big board full just from that. It's really also great because those board wipes are going to hit your Slivers pretty hard if you're not making them indestructible every turn, which you can do. But yeah, if they do manage to get all your Slivers to the graveyard, this is going to pull them all out, and you can pretty much win the game from there, I think. Slivers. Okay, so Hivestone. This is very important because we do have a whole bunch of really good cards that are not Slivers. Creatures you control are Slivers in addition to their other types. So for 2, it's an artifact that just makes everything a Sliver. Everything you control on the battlefield is a Sliver, including your commander. Homing Sliver. So each Sliver card in each player's hand has Sliver cycling 3. So all of each Sliver you have, you can just pay 1. Right, the cycling, you're going to reduce that by 2 as well. You pay 1 and you just go find any Sliver you want. So it's important to know which Slivers you want for what outcome. But very, very useful. Lava Belly Sliver. Slivers you control have, when this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target player or planeswalker, and you gain 1 life. This is a big one to get, especially if you're going to do the Ascent from Avernus, because that's just going to set off a whole bunch of extra damage. It's going to get carried away really quickly. Cloud Shredder Sliver. So Slivers you control have flying and haste. More in it for the flying than the haste, but 2 mana cost for a 1/1 flyer with haste is pretty good. Spiteful Sliver. This is 3 CMC, 2 and a red, for a 2/2, and Sliver creatures you control have, whenever this creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target player or planeswalker. So yeah, if they are going to block you, you can still just damage them anyway. Gets pretty mean. Win con number 1, commander damage. Again, Zirda, not a Sliver. If you have Hivestone out, Sliver. And then you've got something like Bone Slice, Scythe Sliver, blah blah blah. Sliver creatures you control have double strike, so give Zirda double strike. Also, all of the other bonuses, right, from being a Sliver. Double strike is important, but it's not the only thing. That's not going to get you to 21 commander damage, right? That's still a long shot off, but with all of the other bonuses, it's going to add up really, really quickly, especially if you throw something like Legion Loyalty on it. That's just going to double the attack power as well. Then it's not that crazy of a thing. If you manage to give the Zirda +3 attack power, then you double that power, and then give it double strike. There you go, done. You're already at 24, actually. Win con number 2, combat. Okay, so we got Bone Splitter Sliver for 3 in a red. All slivers you control get +2 damage. So yeah, that's very nice. And then for 2 in a red, we have Barbed Sliver. Each sliver gains pay 2 or pay 1 for you. This creature gets +1 damage until end of turn. So basically, you see what's going to get through, and then you just boost up its damage a whole bunch. And yeah, you could also use this as part of your win con if you're doing commander damage. If you go Hivestone out, you can boost up Zirda's damage, and then boom, Bob's your uncle. And yeah, Ward Sliver. As it comes into play, choose a color. All slivers have protection of the chosen color, or from the chosen color. But yeah, so yeah, just make it so they can't block you. Very, very easy way to get through with just a pile of damage. Win con number 3, combat 2. Okay, so we got Mirror Entity. This is very compatible with the combat in this. I kind of had trouble fitting them all together, but yeah, Mirror Entity. So for X, which means your cost reduction is giving you 2 already, basically. Sorry, let me back up. That's 2 and a white for a 1/1 changeling, which of course all changelings will count as being slivers. Until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. So this is another way that you can just make everything into a sliver, right? All of your creatures gain all creature types. So everything's a sliver all of a sudden. You're going to have just kind of compounding benefits from that. And then we've got Spiteful Sliver. Again, we talked about this already. Basically, if they block, they take damage equal to the amount of damage they're doing. So yeah, even if they do manage to block you and shut down some of your attack, you're doing the damage anyway. Also, we have Archetype of Aggression. Creatures you control have Trample. So you're going to give them Trample also, right? Trample, Damage Reflection, and just a huge boost from Mirror Entity. That is a very mean combination, right? It's like even if you block, you still get hurt. Go for it. Yeah, why not? Win con number 4, ETB. So I kind of talked about this before. Ascend from Avernus. Again, X and white. Ideally, you're casting this for 6 CMC. And yeah, the first thing you want to do is use this Cautery Sliver. You can pay 1, sacrifice this permanent. Oh, sorry, all slivers have pay 1, sacrifice this permanent. This permanent does 1 damage to any target. So basically use this to sacrifice all of your slivers, get them to the graveyard, and then bounce them right back. With Ascend from Avernus, you're going to bounce them right back to the battlefield. And then, yeah. You could also do this on someone else's end step. Sacrifice a whole bunch of slivers, get it all set up, and then on the next turn, bring them straight back into the battlefield. And that's when Lava Belly Sliver is going to win this creature. Slivers you control have. When this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player or a planeswalker, and you gain 1 life. So you're just going to do a whole pile of damage after doing a whole pile of damage. It's mean but effective. Part 3, combos and tactics. Okay, I always feel like this is the section where I have to like kind of limit what I'm saying the most. Never have enough time to get to everything that in the deck, but I'm trying to hit most of the important parts here. Removal. Okay, so first of all, Brash Taunter. Okay, he is 4 and a red for a 1/1. Sounds terrible, right? Indestructible. Great start. And whenever he's dealt damage, he deals that much damage to target opponent. Great. And for 2 and a red, which means for only a red for you, and tap, Brash Taunter fights another target creature. Again, when he fights another creature, it means they both do damage to each other. With being a 1/1, a lot of times you won't have enough to actually take a creature out, but if you have something like Hivestone down, or you equip him with Sunforger, then you can start just removing all kinds of threats from the board, knocking out people's commanders and things like that. And when they do damage to Brash Taunter, they take that damage right away, right? So if you've got an opponent that has a really big, scary creature, great. Attack it, or get to fight Brash Taunter, and then Brash Taunter is just going to shoot that damage straight back at the opponent. It's a really nice little trick there. And will be removal most of the time. One last thing I want to point out. Sunforger, right? What you really want it for is that unequipped thing, so it kind of doesn't matter who it's attached to. Attaching it to Brash Taunter is a great target because you're just always going to be able to do that, you know. Probably keep removing your opponent's creatures if you have it set up that way. Generous Gift for 2 and a white. Once again, a great. This is an instant, so this could be a Sunforger target. Destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. So creature removal, very nice. Oh, sorry, target permanent. Any permanent, not just creatures. I'm already forgetting my own build here. Great. Chaos Warp. So once again, for 2 and a red this time, the owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library. So you're moving it from the board, not from the game, right? It's not going to exile. It's not going to a graveyard. It's going back into the library, which a lot of times removes it from the game, frankly. But anyway. Then the owner of that permanent reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. So there's a little bit of risk there, but if you're taking out a big threat, it's going to probably put you in a better position, right? And also they could just get an instant or sorcery and then it just fizzles, right? It's gone. And you've taken 2 things out of the game. Path to Exile. This is specific to creatures, so exile target creature. Its controller may search the library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This is really nice because you can target your own things with it, right? If you've got like some, maybe a 1/1 soldier token or something like that, just target your own creature. There you go, great. Get an extra land in there. Basically trading for 1 mana, ramping by sacrificing a token. Like, who cares, right? And finally, we have Wear and Tear. Again, this lets you choose one, right? You can only do one of these things. You can't just pay like 4 mana and do both. It is one, but destroy target artifact or destroy target enchantment. The artifact is only 1 red and the enchantment is only 1 white. That's a very good value, right? And they're both at instant speed, so you can potentially do that during someone else's turn, meaning high noon is not going to be an issue for this. Also, Sunforger target. Protection. Okay, so Soul of New Phyrexia. This is usually not really worth it, but with your commander, because you got that cost reduction, it's pretty awesome. So here, it's 6 for a 6/6 with trample. Not too bad. And for 5 mana, or 3 mana I should say, permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So as long as you got 3 mana open, you can just make everything indestructible whenever you want. This is very important because a lot of this is about building up an army of slivers and having your creatures down that let you use your abilities. So yeah, this can just do so much work for you. And also, if it's in your graveyard, you can still use it one more time by exiling it from your graveyard, basically. Selfless Spirit. So here's another one that's really great just because you can sacrifice it to make everything indestructible. And then if you're doing your Ascend from Avernus trick, you're just going to throw this back into the battlefield with everything else because it only has a 2 casting cost. Not bad. Your temple is under attack. This is one of my new favorite cards here. For 2 and a white, once again, instant 3 mana, instant, Sunforger target. So, pray for protection. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Everything indestructible, great start. Or you and target opponent each draw 2 cards. So if you're really hard up, you can just use this as card draw instead. Having that flexibility is just really awesome. Make a Stand, once again, giving everything +1 to attack and making indestructible for 3 mana, 2 and a white. Deflecting Palm. Another instant, right? These are all instants, things that if you want to pull them out with Sunforger, you absolutely can. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. If that damage is prevented that way, Deflecting Palm deals damage equal that much damage to that source's controller. So you're just going to bounce that damage right back at someone, right? Whatever it may be, and it says source. It does not say creature, it does not say instant, it does not say whatever. It says source. So anything that's doing damage to you, you can just be like, no, you take the damage instead. This is really great to have, particularly if someone's playing like a Voltron deck against you, or a Voltron Commander, I should say, against you. Just let that hit you, great. Shoot the damage straight back at them. And then, yeah. All done. Protection. Okay, so this is actually protection from a color this time. So again, we talked about Glory already. And yeah, we've got our Ward Sliver. So when it comes into play, choose a color and all of your slivers gain protection from that color. Very, very useful. Finally, Unquestioned Authority. We have not talked about this one yet. So when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Drawing a card is always nice. Enchanted creature has protection from creatures. Once again, basically unblockable, right? No creatures can affect it, which means they can't block it. Which means, hey, go for it. Really great to use with the commander as well. Because yeah, if you want to do the commander damage route, this is one way to go with that. Alright, so abilities. Glittering Recruiter. Okay, so when it enters the battle... it is a creature, an elf warrior, for 3 and a white. And for 2 and a white, or just a white, you can make 1/1 white creature tokens. This is, right? They're 1 white tokens you can make for 1 mana. That's not bad. If you have Hivestone out though, this is just making a whole bunch of slivers for you. That's where it gets really crazy. Glory, we've already talked about, but giving everything protection from a color. All of your creatures for 1 mana is absolutely crazy. Homing Sliver, so again, each sliver having sliver cycling, you can just keep getting whatever you want. It's important, know your slivers, know your plan. Always get the sliver you want. And then, yeah, you can just pretty much take away the game with that if you want. Remember, it's only 1 mana to do that as well. The Soulbright Flamekin, making just a pile of extra mana every turn, is not too shabby. And Arcane Encyclopedia, once again, 1 mana to draw a card every round. Very, very helpful little thing to have. More synergy. Hivestone. Okay, we've talked about Hivestone a lot, so yeah. This is kind of a key thing. I wish that I had an easy way to search that out, but I don't really in this deck. It's something where if you do, Plarg will be able to cast it at least, so it's something where you're more likely to be able to suddenly come up with it. Anyway, Shared Animosity. So whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares the creature type with it. So yeah, you've got all of those things, or with Hivestone, anything on the board you can attack with and it counts as a sliver. Then they all get a bonus equal to the number of slivers you have, which is anything, or any creature I should say. Icon of Ancestry. Alright, so once again, get a +1/+1 to all your slivers, and if Hivestone's out, just to everything. And for 3 and tap, being able to look at the top 3 cards and pull a sliver out. Chances are there's going to be a sliver. I think there's, is it 20 slivers in this deck? So there's a good chance that 1 in 3 will be a sliver. Anyway. The math on that doesn't quite work, I'm realizing now, but anyway. There's a decent chance anyway. Okay, this has been Zirda the Dawnwaker, Sliver Dreams. Alright, take it easy.